Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing today? Welcome to Replacing Spreadsheets, a consolidated view of network infrastructure data. My name is David, and I am your moderator today. We have this fantastic presentation being given by um, sorry, excuse me, by Eric Diekman. And we really look forward to what he has prepared for us. This presentation will have opportunities throughout for any questions that you might have. So during the presentation, feel free to add any questions you have to the chat. Also, during those periods of questions and answers, um, feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask directly. Either way works. So we'd love to hear from you as the presentation is being done. So without further ado, let's hear it for Eric and his presentation on replacing spreadsheets.
Good morning. Are you able to hear me okay? Excellent. Great. Well, thanks for IT professionals for hosting this conference. This is great and giving me an opportunity to talk about um, our project here, which is replacing spreadsheets, a consolidated view of network and infrastructure data. My name is Eric Diekman. I'm a system engineer with the College of Agricultural and Life Sciences. I started in CALS in 1999 as a student hourly and have been here ever since. My current role is in the college is split between system administration and application development, which helps explain my interest in the topic that we're going to talk about in this presentation. As you can see that with my sassy tagline there, one source of truth for 147 VLANs and counting. So that's kind of kicking us off into where we're gonna go today. Um, so our story begins with in early spring 2024, our dean put forth the edict that the college was going to consolidate all of its IT operations in June. So, like 2 or 3 months after it was announced. So, at the time, when this announcement was made, we were in the model of basically one technician per department. There were a handful of departments that had multiple people, but the majority around the college had one tech per department. They were embedded within that, and as it says, their coverage stopped at the org chart line. Um, and then fast forward, you can see where we are currently and what we're moving towards. Fully realized is to have all the departments supported by a primary and secondary desktop support person, which then is supported by the entire desktop team behind them, as well as then there is the systems and solutions team, which receive cases involving servers, research, infrastructure. Those get escalated to the systems and solutions team. Um, so, those of you who have been involved in the consolidation, or even just when you've taken on a new role, you're familiar with the story of you're on the front lines. You walk into a new building that's new to you, and you're like, I'm going to plug in someplace. What subnet am I on? Do I have access to make any changes to these jacks? If it's a firewall issue, what firewall is it on? Who has access to make those changes in that firewall? All of those kind of things. And due to the size and scale of CALs, that brought some particular challenges to us. So, give you an idea of what we're talking about. This is what we were consolidating. So there was 18 IT people that supported the college departments, academic departments, as well as divisional administration, and then also 6 university centers were included in that. And those organizations were spread out across 34 campus buildings. And then, in case that wasn't challenging enough, there's also 12 ag research stations that are spread throughout the state of Wisconsin. So, as you can see, a very large geography in which to support IT operations. So, that's the physical geography. And then to go along with that, the network topology that we inherited, 147 VLANs, which included 160 subnets, and then those are spread across 29 different firewalls and vSys's. Like our ag research stations have their own firewall, so they don't have a vSys on one of the campus firewalls. So there's a lot of firewalls in which to support for that. And then all of those 29 firewalls and vSys's are controlled by 13 different access domains. So, as I'm sure is becoming evident to you, there was a lot of moving pieces to bring under one new umbrella within Cal's IT. So, when you're doing IT work, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, there's all the various tools that we have to access to do our jobs. There's the edge comp side where you're dealing with switch ports and VLAN assignments. You've got info blocks for DNS or DHCP, IPAM, and mapping those VLANs and to devices. And then you also have the firewall piece of it, which is that governs the access to those subnets. And when it's spread out across 29 of those systems with 13 access domains, it's a lot of things to have to trace connections between. And, you know, how do you track all that? How do you manage to make sure that you have the information you need to go in and do just your job? Let alone take the next step as far as like, okay, I need to do this particular troubleshooting step, but what do we need to do down the road as far as like big picture things? Like if we want to redesign some areas or whatever, like if you don't even have all of that in one area to look at or understand, that makes that even more difficult. So what were we doing at the time? Same as everybody always does, spreadsheets. All this information was tracked or not in a variety of spreadsheets that were spread across multiple storage locations with varying levels of detail, and of course, definitely no normalization or standardization. Everybody is busy in their job, and so what you do is you track enough for you, the things that you can't keep in your own head, you track on a spreadsheet. These are stories that we've all heard, right? We do them. I do them myself. You do them yourself. And so when you have that patchwork of sheets, how do you keep it updated? They're not linked to each other. I mean, if you really get ambitious and you want to start linking things within spreadsheets, yes, you can do that, but it's a very brittle piece of information, especially when you have to load that data either by hand entering it or importing it out of the various campus systems in CSV formats or whatever, and it's that brittle link can easily be severed, and then just due to the time constraints and the constraints of spreadsheets, you end up having X amount of information in these, and you still need to manually cross-reference them as far as like, well, I have this amount of information, so I need to go to WSCNIC to look this up, to then go look to this, and then some of that information just is not available. To us out in the departments without a great deal of effort of trying to like suss that out when you're going through things. So that's where the information is stored. And then talking about, a little bit like we were talking before, is you're going into unfamiliar spaces. So you're having to find that information. Where do you find it? And everybody is doing a different part of their job. And so, how do we provide quick access to the relevant information you need from a variety of entry points? Are you like the example I gave earlier? You walk into a new building. So, what the entry point for you that time is like, I'm going into this building. What are all the things that are in that building? Or is it you're working on the systems and solutions team and somebody puts in a ticket that says, I need to get access to a server? Okay, well, it's this IP. I don't, where is that? What firewall is it under? Do I have access to that firewall yet? If not, who might have access that I can talk about either getting me access or at least putting in the change for me, things like that. And so we wanted to have a way, so it was one place to look for all of this. So we're all going to the same location to find information, and it's about research stations or it's about campus buildings. It has all of our subnets for the big picture, like I mentioned earlier. Let's look at the big picture. Here's all that information there, as well as what firewalls are there, and then all that stuff is cross-linked to each other. And that is where we came up with a purpose-built app for our CALS network called Visor, which I'll be showing you here in a second. That stands for VLAN and IP Subnet Organizational Registry. A great ChatGPT created name, but Visor is what we refer to it as. And it was a way to pull together subnets, VLANs, buildings, firewalls, Wisnik, the whole kit and caboodle, all into one location. And the design of it was for quick retrieval of information about whatever it is your particular job is doing. Um, and so at that point, we will hop into, let's see if I can transition this right, into Pfizer. So as you can see on your screen here, we've got it divided up into those major building blocks like we were discussing. And so while I keep bringing up the building aspect, because that is one of those ones where it, especially for frontline desktop people, you're walking into an unfamiliar building. That's where I can see it where it has a lot of value. But I am actually going to start with the VLAN area because one of the things that the design of this system was that you get basically all the information everywhere you go. So you don't have to hunt too far. You have the quick hits as far as this is a VLAN, this is the subnets, this is the building, this is the firewall in every area that you go to. It's just grouped or filtered or ordered in a different way that makes more sense for you're coming into it from this area. It makes sense to group it from this way. But in general, all the information is shown there. So I'm going to hop in here to start with the VLANs. So first, I'm going to make a liar out of myself. You can see there's only 143. We did some VLAN cleanup this past week since I made that slide. So now we're down to only 143 VLANs. But so first, as you can see, the information provided on this page, you've got the VLAN itself, you've got the description about it, it's got the subnet or subnets that are a part of that VLAN, which building it's a part of, and then what firewall, like I mentioned before. It also has external hits to go out for sources of truth. So you've got the link to go out to NetBlocks, and so that takes you about that particular VLAN out to NetBlocks. Same thing for WiskNIC. It's got a way to click out and get you to WiskNIC so you can find that information. You'll see that all the green links, those are all internal links to Visor. So if I were to click on that, and I'm going to go to each of those in turn here, you will get it will then filter it based on that. It's kind of like almost like IMDb. You click on the actor. All right, now I want to see the film that they were in. You click on the film. Now it's information about the film. Same idea is that you can navigate through based on what you see. And so, in addition to that, you also have the ability to do text searches across all of these various things. I can search by a building. If I search microbial, you'll see that it's bringing up obviously microbial and the names of the VLANs, but it's also searching the building names for that. Or we're the College of Ag. Dairy is a hot topic in our world, so you can see there's a lot of VLANs and information having dairy in it. So let's do a little navigation here to go in here. So let's find out information about 1462 Animal, which is the Animal and Dairy Science, one of their private networks. So we go in here, and first thing it does is it loads up and gives us our information about what subnets, again, what buildings. Now, just in a slightly less succinct way so that you have to get a better picture without having everything crammed together. It's got the external links like I talked about to NetBlocks and WiskNIC. It also has the WiskNIC information a little more broad for you, so you're not having to translate NIC handles. You can actually translate it to individual people. Another piece that's a little useful for us is while you can glean this information from WiskNIC, it's not necessarily the most visible for you. Is this person applied because of a grouping within WiskNIC? As you can see by these folks, these people are in the CALS1 WiskNIC group. But then there's also, and as you can see, Jason here is both in that group, but he has also been applied directly as a admin contact on this particular VLAN. And so we're able to see that very quickly. Like so if we ever had to do cleanup, if Jason were to take another position and we needed to do offboarding for him, it's real easy to go back and see, like, give me all his direct connections as well. Yeah, we can pull him out of the CALS1 WISC group, but that doesn't help us when we need to pull off these direct connections. And then the Infoblox area lets us know that this particular VLAN, which is represented by that subnet, is in Infoblox under that subnet. It's governed by this role within Infoblox, and then these are the manifest groups that are able to gain access to do work within Infoblox on this subnet. And then there is just like the WiskNIC and the NetBlocks, there is the hit out will take you actually to the manifest group that governs that. So if you need to do any membership changes, that's an easy way to be like, oh, so and so needs access to this, so we'll pop out and do that. Those of you who know the idiosyncrasies of info blocks, it's not quite that easy, but at least the idea of knowing which groups um, govern access to that if you need to control access one way or another. Um, so that's the information that we have here on the at the VLAN level. But as you can see, all of this stuff is clickable. So if I want to find information about that subnet, I can click on that. Now you notice the page really hasn't changed much. Other than we're now at the subnet page. This has changed to tell you that it's on this particular VLAN. But all the rest of this information basically stays the same. These are the WSNIC contacts. While they happen to look the same, they are still, because those who are familiar with WSNIC, their contacts are applied at both the VLAN level and at the subnet level. And so we do have those differentiations in here so that if there's permission differences between that, we are able to see that. And then again, any green link that you see is linked to other, and I'll go into these areas a little later, so I'm not going to click on like names and things yet. But just so you know, like if it's green linked, it can take you to other pieces of information within Visor itself. Um, and so that's the VLAN area. If we go back up here to subnets, you'll see that. So we'll go to VLANs just real quick. That's where we were looking before. That's all the VLANs. Now, if we go to subnets, again, you're seeing the exact same information, but now it's the primary column is subnet. So now this is a way for you to actually look in order, like, oh, I've got a subnet. Like, oh, I want to search for, I've got an IP address. So I'm going to look for 144.92.122. Oh, here we go. It was the Ag and Applied Economics IP. So now I know that it's physically located in Taylor Hall. It's on 98 Animal VLAN. It's under the Animal Primary and VSys 19 for the firewall. But again, all these are just clickable and it takes you in and it shows you the information just like you saw for that other one. And all that information allows you to navigate in between all of those areas depending on what you need. So if we go into our buildings, again, same information, but now it's got it grouped under a heading of here's every building. So this is a way to browse the various buildings. And you can see that each subnet is, because in general, you tend to, our thought was you're generally working with subnets. You don't necessarily care about the VLAN as your primary source. So we have the subnet primary on this particular view when you're looking at buildings. But then if you want to actually go to the detail page of the building, it gives you address information if you aren't sure where that building is. And then all the subnets, and again, all the same information with all the same clickable links, like we talked about. And that's all available there. Then the next area is the firewall area. And this, I will say, especially being on the systems and solutions team, this is a very helpful tool for us on this piece because while this information is in WSNIC, getting access to it from the firewall side is almost impossible. There isn't a view that we found that gets you into that as easily. So now you've got it organized under you've got the firewall and then the individual VSys, and you can see each of the subnets under there. And if you click on the actual firewall itself, it's able to give you now the headings as VSYSs, so you can actually look and see each VSYS that you have, along with each subnet underneath. As you can tell, a lot of this it ends up becoming rinse and repeat because again, it's all the same information, but the idea is that you have quick access to subnet, VLAN, building, and firewall, no matter where you are in the system. And then if you need more information about that, you can click on it and navigate from there. And then the next area we're going to go into is info blocks. And that does have some, that does have DNS related stuff. So you can see here we have the domains that we happen to have control over within CALs. And then if we go into one of those, we're able to see that the Infoblox role, AAE admin has access to be able to make changes on aae.wis.edu. And these various access groups are the ones that control access to those roles within Infoblox. And then this is just an area to define those groups. Here's the groups themselves, and you can hop out to manifest to see the membership of those groups, or to make changes to them if you need them. And then the roles one is definitely uh, an important one for us as well. So when you go into accessing these roles, oh, you know what? I was looking at my notes. I realized I forgot to do access domains. I'm going to hop back here. Apologies for the scatter shot of this here. Um, uh, as I mentioned, we've got our access domains that we have, and you can see I'm lying again. I only have 12 here. Cleanup killed us here. It's our bloated numbers for this presentation. But I wanted to point out that, if we go into our access domains, we're able to see which manifest groups are able to access these. So like this actual domain is the actual. Now I don't have access to um, edit it, as you can see, but that at least gives me that when I put in a ticket would do it, I can say that's the domain that we need to have access to. And then you can see all the firewalls that we do have access to under that access domain, as well as all of the VSISs. So sorry, I forgot I didn't want to miss out on that, because that is another important piece for us is, how do you get access to these various firewalls if we need to make changes in them. Hopping back into the Infoblox roles, the roles themselves um, actually give you what networks and what domains, but then also you'll see the little number here that lets you know how many permissions it has. Because when you go and access Infoblox, this is actually what governs your access, and it does have relatively granular permissions. And so, like on this particular IPv6 network, um, we've got read-write capabilities for the quadruple A records or DHCP fixed addresses. And then same thing down here with domains. This role you can make A records or quadruple A records or C names or so on and so forth. So we also have templates like that. Tim Zaronka has that he uses as his general template when you say I need access to this network. So we've actually set up templates so that when you are adding something, you can say, hey, this is an IPv4 network. Add these particular permissions, but that doesn't mean that it has to live that way. You can add individual permissions if you end up making more granularized versions of these within your organization. And then the last area is just the networks, because technically, while these link to subnets in the subnets area, it's its own object, because it doesn't necessarily a one-to-one mapping with certain subnets. And so we have that set up here. And then if you click on it, it links back to, again, the same thing, the original subnet record, the firewall, the VLAN, the building, so on and so forth. And as we're getting close to time here, I'm going to hop into WiskNIC. And that's the last little piece. So here's all the people that we have within CALS. And it gives you, quick information, emails, net IDs, WiskNIC handles. And if you end up taking the WiskNIC thing, it pops you out so that you can see the individual information about them in WiskNIC. But this is another valuable tool for us, is to find out what do people have access to. And I So I'm going to use Jared Chambers here as a great example, because he's got varying levels of access. So he is a member of the CALS One Wisk group, which is our main authorization piece for subnets. And so he's got a lot but he also has a bunch of directs, and it's a great way for us to see real quickly so again, if Jared were to change roles or leave the organization and we needed to offboard him, where do we need to go to pull individual access? And so yes, we can remove him from the CALS One groups, but we're also going to have to remove him as tech contacts on all these other various networks. And so it's just good to know about yourself. You're like, oh, do I have access to this subnet before I go to work in this building? Well, you can go and click on yourself and find out. And same thing here with this on the subnet side. And then again, all these are cross-linked. So if you want to find out more information, you just click on it and it takes you into that other record and back out through all the various areas there. Um, So that's the end of the demo. We hit right on time, so I'm going to hop here. A couple things that we have left to do that we want to add in is just like we did for the Wisnik area, is be able to tie personal access to info blocks. So when we click on a person, we can find out they have access to these domains and or these subnets within info blocks and what kind of permissions they have in them. Um, and then, of course, the magic one is some sort of automated data sync. Right now, this is all manual data. We're hoping to get some data out of Infoblocks via the API. Wisnik doesn't have that available right now. They're saying maybe sometime in the future that'll be a thing. We're pulling in manifest data. So eventually, we'd like to involve some sort of data sync to help keep current. Um, and that's the end of the demo of Visor. I know I kind of flew through that, and I tend to talk really fast. So now I will pause and see if anybody has any questions, any suggestions. And I also would like to say if folks are interested in seeing more about this, maybe either because this is all open source that we got out on a GitLab thing. So if folks wanted to implement this themselves, or if they wanted to contribute, we're definitely open to those things as well. So I'll stop talking and take any questions there might be at this point. Or possibly everybody is still asleep, which is also, hey, we're talking spreadsheets at 9 a.m. I get it.
So I have a question for you, Eric.
Sure, David.
Um, like what was the team size um that did the work to create this tool set?
Yep. So the applications development side, there's two of us with a nice help from our friend Claude. And then, of course, we've got a couple other folks that were doing the contributions as far as providing the inputs, as far as like, what do we need? Where are our pain points? And, having, I've been in this role and I started, as an individual IT member for a department. So I at least had enough of an insight into like, what do folks do on a daily basis? So, but every place is different. So having folks know where they are, what they need was also helpful. So.
Nice. We do have a question from Peter in the chat.
Mhm.
Just to confirm, all this data was entered manually, not coming from Wisnik, Infoblox, Netbox, etc.
Correct. It was all manual. Manual as far as we had it, we normalized it into spreadsheets and did some importing as far as like, importing directly into the database. But yes, none of it is doing any kind of data pulls. I see Terry undoing his camera, so I don't know if he's going to say something about the possibilities of getting real data because we literally had this conversation yesterday. But
I was going to ask, are you open to collaboration?
yes, very much so. Very much so.
Oh, I think I can help you with that second milestone on automated data sync.
Excellent, excellent.
So,
I will be in contact.
A lot of just comments in the chat about this being a looking like a great feature. Oh, from Connor, where is the Git? Drop the
Yeah, of
link.
course, Connor's going to be the one to hop in and say that. He was pushing me to actually have it in the presentation. I will throw that in the chat right now. Uh, so it's a project folder because it's divided up in between back end and front end. Um, but
Awesome. Well, we are right at time. Oh, side note. Thank you, Eric, for making
oh,
uw.authentication.shibboleth. Very helpful for our NetID migration.
you're welcome. Glad somebody else was using it. That's great.
Yep. So yeah, we are at time for today. So thank you everyone for joining in on this presentation. Thank you, Eric, for presenting for us today.
Thank you.
And we will be having about a 10-minute break before the next sessions start. So we look forward to seeing everyone throughout the rest of today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.